Good afternoon. It's Sunday afternoon here in sunny and hot California, and I thought because I'm better at this now, I would start a new starter for the new sourdough bakers. So I know we have a lot of new people, and people struggle terribly with their starters. So I thought, well, let's just start over again, and I'll show you exactly how to go about making a sourdough starter. It's so simple, takes 5 minutes a day. So there's tools that you need. Speaking of, I always have my my sturdy one-piece spatula. I found that was really important. I use a scale, a kitchen scale, digital, and you just gotta have one. If you're going to make sourdough, you can do things a lot of ways, but the one thing that you absolutely have to have is a scale, digital scale. You measure everything in grams. I use just a standard old measuring cup. I put it on the scale and I tare it, make it 0. And this is so simple, you're gonna wonder why you thought it was so hard. I put in 100 grams of water. Oops, that's 108. Exactly, try and be precise. I need my teaspoon. Okay, getting my teaspoon. Because then when I add a little too much or a little too little, I can take it out in smaller amounts than if I measure. So I want exactly 100 grams, and that's exactly 100 grams. I use purified water. That's water that I've gotten from my refrigerator that has the filter on it, and then I just leave it on the counter in a jar open for about 4 hours. That dechlorinates it, and that's always better. It's not essential. You could use tap water, but you might have a little more difficulty. So if you can do that, if you have a jar of any kind, I just put some water in it and let the chlorine evaporate naturally, and then I put a lid on it. I always have water at the ready. So the next thing we're gonna need, you can start your starter with 100 grams of all-purpose flour. Make sure it's unbleached. But I started mine with bread flour. So you can do it with bread flour, a bread flour and whole wheat flour combination, or all-purpose flour, but just make sure it's unbleached. So I'm gonna put 75 grams in here of unbleached bread flour. And then I'm gonna put 25 grams of whole wheat. And that's it. There we go, 75 exactly. And I'm gonna come back to you every day and give you an update and show you how long it takes. I know this works, I've done it. I've got a wonderful, very, very ripe starter in my fridge. So I did this again last Christmas, right before I went on vacation, which was kind of stupid. But it was an absolutely beautiful starter, and I incorporated it into my my regular starter that I have now. I just incorporated it. So you just mix this up, and that's it. Just make sure you've got all the water and all the flour mixed well. Scrape the bottom of your jar and the sides really well. And then I have a jar with a, excuse me, with a rubber band on it. And I'm just gonna pour this into that jar. Now, I'm gonna leave this stand on my counter for 24 hours. And it probably won't do much of anything. It's just flour and water. And tomorrow when we come back, I'm gonna take 25 grams out of it, save that 25 grams to put in a new 100 grams of water, 100 grams of flour, and I'm going to throw the rest of this away, but we'll get to that tomorrow. So right now, this is it. I've got my rubber band to show where I'm starting at. I cover it loosely with the ball lid, but not the screw down part, because your new starter needs air. It needs the bacteria from the air. So you can also cover it with a piece of plastic and just maybe poke a couple of holes in it with a pin, or you can, I wouldn't use cloth because there's moisture in this and the cloth will absorb the moisture. So it'll dry your starter out. So I recommend that you use something that allows it to have some air. It has to have air in order to grow. It needs the bacteria. So that's it, we're all done. And I'll come back tomorrow and show you how we're doing, and we'll do a feeding, and we'll do it 3 or 4 days in a row, 5 days. I'll keep making these little videos, and then I'll post them all together on your starter, on our group, on the starter series. So there you are. That's how long it takes. I don't do anything with it until tomorrow, and it didn't even make a big mess. So there you go. All right, happy baking, everybody.